Hey y'all, welcome to Knitting in Our Jeans. I'm Liz.
I'm Carolyn.
And you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Toolizz for you, TOOLIZZFORYOU.
And I'm CPREDMOR on Ravelry and posting as Knitting in Our Jeans on Instagram. And I'm thinking that some of you may wonder why we're in two different chairs. Elizabeth, I think, has mentioned that she's short-waisted. So if I'm in the same kind of chair that she is, I tower over her, which isn't a good optic.
Which is kind of funny because I am taller than you are.
Yes, but it's in the legs.
Yes.
And I have more depth.
Yes.
From my hip bone up to my head.
Yes.
Yes. So that's why we have it like this. And then I prefer the rocker anyway. Anyway, I've been posting.
Yes, you have.
Yes, I have. And I went on an adventure.
You did go on an
Not
adventure.
By myself,
no.
With my husband.
Yes.
I have spent an inordinate amount of time driving.
Yes.
So in the past month, I've been to Florida. And now I've been to Maine.
You didn't drive, though, to Florida.
Didn't drive, no. But I've been.
I know.
And I drove to Maine and back this weekend. We took a three-day weekend. So we drove up to Bath, Maine on Friday, which really wasn't bad. We left here at 9:30. We got there a little bit before 5 and stayed at a Residence Inn, which was relatively new. Very welcoming. The people were lovely, all masking, but also excited that Maine apparently is opening up on Monday, tomorrow, because 70% of Mainers have at least had their first shot. So they're going to be much more open with their COVID restrictions than
because
they have
will
been.
Have hit herd immunity.
They will have gotten a lot more people at least their first shot.
Mm-hmm.
And that means they can be a lot less concerned about who's close to what, doing when. Something like that.
I mean, technically, New York and New York City has opened up as well.
They have.
Though I do have to say,
there's no time limits now, or curfews, that's the word, on restaurants. Theaters can open. Most of Broadway is waiting until fall. Obviously, they have to get back into rehearsal.
But they have been able to get back into rehearsal.
Yes. And so some are opening in September, some are opening in October. So excited. I know that we are getting updates on what's allowed in our church. Mm-hmm. I haven't seen today's church service. I'll watch tomorrow, as well as National Cathedral, because I know we had our bishop speak in our church, and then our presiding bishop spoke at Washington National. So I'll be interested in seeing those things. Anyway, we drove up to Bath because where we were headed didn't have a hotel. So we were headed to Camden, Maine, where we spent 2.5 hours looking at a catamaran. And I'm very excited. The only reason my husband is looking at a catamaran is because that's what I've told him I want. Isn't that sweet? And at first he didn't want to talk about this boat, but then I persuaded him that we could go look at it. And he didn't fall in love with it. He just couldn't find anything wrong with it.
Which is a very close second to falling in love for Daddy.
Yes. So we made an offer. The offer has been accepted. And now we're trying to get a surveyor to be able to...
For those who don't know boats, it's like getting a house inspection.
Exactly. So this is someone who'll be able to go from soup to nuts or from tiller to nose on this boat, looking at all the different pieces, the stove, it doesn't have a microwave. I don't even know if there's enough power for a microwave. I think we'd have to get new lithium-ion batteries.
Oh, no.
Yeah, oh, no. But it's a half a foot shorter than our present boat, which makes it really manageable. It's only 19.5 feet wide. Our present boat is something like 12 feet wide.
Right, so it does give us more lateral space.
It gives us more lateral space. It gives us a living room.
Yeah.
At above sea level, which I'm so tired of living in the basement when we go away. It feels
It
closed
also
in.
allows, because as we've mentioned, my father and I are built very similarly. We are long people. And so, notice how I went out instead of over. So we realized 3 summers ago, that the 3 of us staying on the boat overnight is very tough.
We get in each other's way.
Mom and I are okay, but you have Dad and I, we are both too long on our current boat to be able to coexist in the same space the way the boat that you currently own is laid out.
There are some problems with this boat. This boat would be near perfect if it had a second bathroom. And so we may be able to make that modification next year. Mm-hmm. There's a couple of modifications. It doesn't have an anchor windlass. So for those of you who don't own a boat, an anchor windlass helps you raise the anchor. The anchor, once it's down in the sand or the mud or the goop, gets almost locked in. I mean, think about a shoe getting wet and then sticking to the concrete or something. And you have suction or in the mud. And our present boat does have a windlass. In fact, it has an electric windlass. So once you get positioned directly over the anchor, the windlass helps pull it up, which is very nice. So for this summer, I'm going to have to start
lifting weights.
Lifting weights. I was going to say raising weights, and I knew that wasn't right. Lifting weights. In fact, I'll start tomorrow because either Richard or I will be the ones lifting the anchor, and he's already lifting weights. So I have to start. My knee, through all of this weekend, has done very well. I'm so pleased. I was able to climb all over the boat. So we were there for 2.5 hours. Then we drove down to Providence, Rhode Island. Providence, Rhode Island, where friends of ours live. And they were dying to hear about the boat because they knew we were coming for dinner. And she's texting me as we're negotiating for this boat. And I said, We're talking. We're talking. I'll let you know.
This is why I didn't text you, because I was I also don't need Daddy reading me being like, Sal.
So anyway, now Richard is going to be calling for a surveyor and trying to get that set up. They'll have to go back to me to be there when the surveyor goes over the boat so we can hear what his verbal report is. And then if that passes, then the boat gets put in the water, and there is a sea trial to make sure the various systems work as they're supposed to when it's in operation. So the sails may raise when it's on dry land. Do they raise well when they're under pressure from wind? Do the motors act the way they should? That kind of thing.
So there is a process. It's like buying a house or renting an apartment.
Right.
There is a process to it, and there are many steps that you have to go through before even thinking about that check clearing.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
Or writing that check, I should say.
So, anyway, if we pass the on-land survey and the sea trials, then we'll be renting a van to take all our stuff up to Maine and putting it on our new boat and sailing home. I'm so excited. And the guy with the
I'm going to laugh my butt off.
Was saying, well, how would you get it moved? And we said, well, we've been to Cape Provincetown and Cape Cod. It's not that much further.
And you already have.
And you just go like
4th
this.
of July plan.
Well, and you just kind of go like that to kind of necklace around the
Cape,
the Bay of Maine, Sea of Maine, whatever that bodyboard is. I haven't looked at a chart. Or you can go direct for 24 hours and get to Provincetown. So it would be lovely. So we are waiting to hear how soon we can get a surveyor. So, and then and I'm doing all the driving because my husband's driving. He gets tense, and when he gets tense, then the neuropathy in his foot acts up, and then he's under extreme stress and pain that evening. So.
And also because that then turns into he drives very much sometimes like an old man when he starts getting grumpy. What? So he speeds up till he's right there and then stops. And then speeds up and then stops. And so even sitting in the front seat you can get car sick. And it's not a bad thing, but it happens.
It happens. I mean, I don't think he's about to have an accident.
No.
By any means.
No.
But I have warned him that do that one more time, and I will lose lunch
Yes.
and deliver this car. So we're coming to an agreement. So anyway,
He
then I
has
drove,
asked why I sleep.
right, and then
so
I
much.
drove today from Providence, Rhode Island, back to Long Island. So
Nice.
I'm a little tired. My knees are a little sore from being in the driving position, but other than that, we're fine, and I'm so excited.
All
I
right.
can't wait till everything goes through, if everything it can go through, and to say my husband bought me a boat.
Yes.
Again, first world problems. I understand that many people don't have this ability to have this kind of fun, but honest to God, we have worked for over 40 years and saved like crazy to be able to do this. So I'm here to tell you that you can start married life with nothing except what's in the wedding bag. And eventually it can work out okay. That, I think, is an object lesson. Because we've started saving almost immediately.
I was going to say, if you
Compound interest.
Well, I was going to say, if you, this is something my mother has taught me, and since we're giving slight and minimal financial advice, if you have access to a 401k and you are able to put into the 401k, and especially if your job has a match program,
Absolutely.
take advantage of it. Figure out your budget, figure out if you can afford to say goodbye to that percentage of money from your paycheck, and then plan accordingly from there.
Because it's taken out before taxes, you won't miss it as much as if it were taken out after taxes. You could also do an after-tax IRA, a Roth IRA, but it's something you might want to think about. I always took out the maximum.
And especially if there's a match, because that's, as one of the as one of the superintendents said at one of my very first projects in construction in New York, he took out his wallet and he was teaching all of us APMs at the time, about it, and because we were all talking about it because we finally had been with the company long enough to like register for it, and he threw his wallet on the ground. He said, "That is free money. You take that money," and we're like, "What?" He goes, "Your 401k, that's what we're discussing. It is like my wallet on the floor. It is free money." And we were like, "Oh, okay." And he goes, "Because it's a match." And so that is an image that has always been seared in my brain. And so, yeah, definitely. And if you're not able to, as Mom said, max, or even meet the full match, even just 1%
do as
can
much
help.
as you can.
Because compounding from the age of 35 and 40
is better than 55.
Is better than 55, and also if you're younger than 35, it's exponentially better.
Yes.
Because you'll have more time for that to accrue.
Absolutely. So that's how we can afford to do these kinds of things, because we put it away before we even had to think about it, before we saw it in the checking account, and it has worked out well for us. So that's how we get to do this kind of thing.
Just acknowledging that privilege that is inherent in that.
But we had no money when we got married. We didn't have any loans. I can say that because both his parents and my parents paid for our education, although my father threatened not to. But then I transferred to a state school, University of Virginia, where it was so much cheaper than the private school he wanted me to go to. $33 a credit hour. I know some of you must be falling on the floor right now, but that's how much University of Virginia was way back when. So we had our degrees, and we had no debt, and we didn't have much else. So anyway.
But yes, so that
is
your
great weekend.
Yes, that is your mini lesson on how you get to be retired and happy.
Yeah, exactly. How you pick the right husband at the age of 23 when you meet him, I can't tell you that. But we have not gotten on each other's nerves during the pandemic quarantine. I don't really know. What you think is getting on our nerves, we call a conversation.
Okay.
So, anyway. So, you want to talk about crafts?
So what did you work on if you went traveling so much during so much of your crafting time?
I know. So, I got some done.
You did. You have
on my
arms.
onesie.
You have arms.
I do. I have, I think, 2 inches past the arms. I need to do 8 inches past the arm to get to the next step. So I am working on that. I honestly thought I'd have more time to knit, but I really was tired by the end of the day.
Well, if you were doing all the driving, that makes sense.
I was.
Yeah.
And so Friday night, I was reading trashy novels on my iPad. On Saturday night, I got maybe 3 rows done, and then our friends decided it was bedtime, so then I went back we went upstairs and we read on our various iPads rather than, because I find laying in bed, it's hard to knit.
Yes, me too.
There's just not the right angle. But I have gotten this much done, and I'm really very pleased with the whole thing. So that I did. What else? I had done other things I can report on.
So I have been working on my second sock for my cousin. I finished the toe. I'm now into the foot of the sock. So, yeah. But I worked on this during some meetings that we had at work. And then I had other meeting knitting, but that was for after work meetings. Because I had a bunch of those this week. I had one on Tuesday, and Wednesday, and Thursday.
Right. I was only Thursday.
You were at the Thursday one, I know.
Yes.
So what have you worked on?
Okay.
And then I'll go to my meeting knitting.
Well, as usual,
yes,
I worked on my counting cross stitch. I don't think you can see.
There's a lot more of the buildings.
Yes.
Like you can definitely see that the buildings are taking shape.
Yes,
more.
I worked on some stuff around the door. I worked on this, but it's because I was filling in up top. That's my rule, is I'm filling in up top. And right now I'm working on a green because this, where I started filling in, was higher than over here. So when I finish with this thread of green, I will then move over and find the color that goes in there and work that wherever it is. And then whatever other white space is superordinate, I will fill that in. And so that's how I'm going across in this. I am loving this. I am just loving this.
It's amazing.
And
the full coverage is phenomenal.
And I'm so thrilled that I got several others of these because I've got enough to keep me going for the next decade. And in the salon of the Catamaran, it will be really easy to work on
It
this.
will be.
It will be really easy. One of the nice things is that the dining table, the eating table, actually has 3 leaves. 3
folds.
It folds. So there's a center section which doesn't fold. And then there's 2 leaves that fold out. So it can become a very wide table and seat 8 to 10 people around it. Or you can fold it in. You can have your iced tea and a snack right there, and you can get around the table. So there are many boats that have these large tables, but they don't fold. And that's annoying. Just anyway, so this is moving along. I will continue to work on it. I will try to take one day to work on this and one day to work on the onesie. I'm not sure how that's going to work because I have to add in the weightlifting and all that kind of stuff. But seriously, the knee therapy has been, it's been amazing because I'm not fast. I mean, Richard does have to slow down when he's trooping off to things.
Yes, but
I'm following. And I'm climbing ladders, and
he often has to
slow down.
He's
got long legs.
The only time that man has ever been slow was right after the back surgery.
Yes.
So during my other meetings, I worked on my cross stitch, which I will show you. I have gotten so far in my cross stitch, y'all.
Oh,
so far, like I'm so excited about it. But I figured I'd bring in what we call, what Mom and I call my church knitting project, which is for church meetings.
Yes.
Because I am on, I guess the governing body is the best way to describe the vestry.
Oh, you're on the vestry.
I'm on the vestry. If you know what that entails, I'm on that. So we had vestry.
It is a governing body of the community. The parishioners, yes.
So we had a vestry meeting. And I've been working on this since December before I started with vestry. But because it is predominantly stockinette, I decided it was a good dedicated project to track my, time with it. So this has been going for over a year. Yes, I acknowledge that I should be done with it if I were focusing on it, but I like having a set project for a set time.
Sure.
Because it's nice to see that it's growing.
Yeah.
So this is my Nebbia, and it's out of Verdant Griffin, Bugga, and it's on size 2s, I believe. Yep, no, size 3s. And I'm making the smallest size, and it will still be quite large on me.
Yes.
But I think it'll look really good. And so I'm supposed to get to 15 inches until I split for the sleeves, or split for the front and back. And I think I'm almost there. But
you're looking for a yardstick.
I'm just trying to see if we had a measure. I thought we had a measuring tape right around here.
Well, I've been...
Oh, you've been cleaning?
Again?
Again?
All right. This is...
So...
Oops, wait a minute. There.
So we're at...
13.
13? Yeah.
2 more inches.
So, we've got a few more meetings that'll happen over the next few weeks. But I did work on this on Tuesday and Wednesday, and I'm pretty excited because, I mean, again, it's a pretty tight gauge. I mean, it's not bulletproof, but, like,
yes,
it's pretty tight.
Yeah. I think it'll be very warm.
I think it'll be really nice to wear because I think it'll end up being something I can throw on and I can wear anywhere and it'll look.
And they're your colors.
They are. So that's what I worked on Monday or on Tuesday and Thursday and some of Wednesday. And then I also have worked on my cross stitch, which I completed the entire first stitch of the center bar. And I only have less than 10 stitches to go for the second stitch. And then I'm going to finish this bar up here and go back down for the second stitch. And then there is a middle bar here and a middle bar. Where's my little mark that has kind of gotten rubbed off and so I can't see it anymore? Here.
Okay.
And so there'll be a second one here. And then I will do the outline color that goes around these wooden beams, and then I will move it this way so that I can get the top.
And when do the new patterns come out?
I think it's the second week of June.
Okay, we have some time.
We have some time, so I think I'm debating. Well, do you have any other knitting?
I have, no, because I did not work on my gray sock. That's in my sail bag, so when I take my sail bag with me, and in fact, next weekend, we want to make mention, you're not going to be here, and we may be going over to Northport because there's a club sail to Northport. So unless we get the surveyor geared up, we will take our own boat over to Northport.
Well, I've gotten to 7.5 inches on this. We all know I need to get to 9. It's going a heck of a lot slower than the sleeves, but you know, it happens.
It's bigger.
It is. So
that's so cute.
I know. So my thoughts for my travels, though, is to bring this.
Yes.
And to bring the sock I'm working on. And I have a test knit that I need to swatch for and work on.
Okay.
And I have a second test knit that I need to swatch and work on. I ordered yarn for it, but it hasn't arrived yet.
Okay.
That test knit is due the end of June.
You've got time.
I have time. Totally have time. And then I'm debating...
What?
I'm debating not taking this in the big frame, but bringing a small frame so I can just move it around so I could keep working on it.
I don't know that you really want to do that just because you've got 3 other projects you just listed for me.
I know.
And you're only going to be gone 5 days.
Yeah.
This is not a 2-week trip.
I know.
Just saying.
Okay.
I mean, do what you want, but
I know.
It's not a 2-week trip, and you're going to be doing hiking, and you're going to be doing all kinds of stuff. I'm lucky I got anything done while I was gone. Oh, I finished
darning socks?
I did. I darned socks, and I picked up the stitch on the other one. These are not pretty. I'm not saying that they're pretty, but since the holes are on the bottom of my heels, I now have matching black and orange darns.
Nice.
As I said, the reason that is because some of my, help me with the Rowan
Kid silk case,
thank you, has been packed away, and I don't know which box it's in, so I really can't get the one that is close to these colors.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm making do with this, and because it's on the bottom of my heel, no one's ever going to see it other than you all.
Mm-hmm.
The pink.
Weren't you wearing those today?
No, I have the pink on that I was wearing on, but this is the one that had the hole in it, and I can't even find where I fixed it. All right, so
you did a good job.
I did a good job. So I have picked up the stitch that was running. It actually looked like there was a cut in that knitted line.
It could have caught on something.
Could have caught on any number of different. Oh, here it is.
Mm-hmm.
So I did fix it. Picked it up. I've reinforced that line across. I'm happy. So they're fixed. I wove in the ends on my mittens. I did not block them. That's something to do this week. But they are all done and ready to be blocked. So that's good. I can talk about something I received.
Yes, what did you receive?
I received a nice plastic bag.
It's a vinyl.
It's vinyl. It's a nice vinyl bag. It's from
Stephanie Yerp.
Stephanie Yerp of India Entangled.
From India Entangled Spotlight, yes.
So it's huge. And what I wanted it for was, first of all, it's pretty. And secondly, it's translucent or semi-see-through, so I can identify what's in it. And thirdly, I can put my embroidery tools in here and the extra threads, so that when I pull them out and I'm supposed to match two of one color, one of another color, sometimes I end up pulling one too many, and that can go in here, and it's not going to get lost in the sofa. Right, in the sofa or other places. So this is my embroidery whatnot bag. I'm sure she meant it for knitting whatnots, but sometimes you need
sock projects or shawl projects.
Yeah, but sometimes you need bags for other crafts, and that's what this is. It came with a joke. It says, "How are interchangeable needles like teeth? It's nice to have a full set." We're a dental house, so that was kind of funny.
It was a good joke.
Yes, it was.
Sure.
Okay. Last week, this is the magazine that we talked about that we had managed to leave downstairs. It's Knits from Interweave. I do think that there are fewer magazines coming to the house. I'm not exactly sure
Well, and
why.
there are fewer. There used to be two sections to these magazines. Now there's only one.
Only one. One would think that because everybody was staying home that there would be more. So there's an article about yarn that is coming from the U.S. instead of from Europe, I guess to cut down on the carbon footprint. And some of those swatches are gorgeous.
Yeah.
So,
good cable patterns.
Yes, we've got Mountain Black Merino from Wyoming. We've got woolens, Kelborn woolens from Germantown, Pennsylvania. Yarn Denali, which is a 50% American alpaca, and it's coming from, I guess, all over. It's Imperial yarn. And then, of course,
that's Oregon. Imperial's Oregon.
Harrisville Designs, which is New Hampshire. So, the company's in New Hampshire. It says the sheep are in Montana. Then, collaborative crafting. This is a woman who has taken the temperatures for an entire year, and she knits a row per day. So these things are a really nice visual graph of what the temperatures were in a particular location every day for a year. And so she's made them into tapestries. She calls them tempestries, as temperature tapestries. And I think it's a really interesting idea.
It is. A lot of people do them.
Yes. And she has chosen national parks, so she's doing different national parks.
Nice.
I think it's a lovely idea. All right, and then we start into patterns. So this is called Home and Away. It is a collection of 14 patterns within the shawl. And I think I would love to do it if I were adept at wearing a shawl. I'm not. So I probably won't make it, but I think it would be great to put into a baby blanket. So by doubling it over, you can make it into a baby blanket, and you would have all these different things to work on, which I think would be so much fun.
I think there are 14 patterns in the collection, Mom. Not
is that
just
what it
in
is?
That shawl. Yeah.
Oh, well. Itinerant Pullover. This is something that I actually notched the page on. So, yes, it is cables. So it's cables down the sleeve and then at the bottom. I think I might want to transport them up to my neck rather than down at my waist or my hip, because it's not an area that I need to really focus on.
Well, and not even that. Also for, like, pilling and wear of the sweater.
There's more pilling that goes along as I rub against things with my hip and my butt.
Well, and also just having your bag on you.
That is
I
true.
noticed that because I had a friend over last night who who gleaned a bunch of my sweaters, and she noted on a few of the, especially the longer ones that I've knit in the last year, she was like, they pill and not where I would think. And I was like, is it like the back of my hip? And she goes, yeah, it's like the back hem. And I go, yeah, those are my longer sweaters. They're probably at my hip, which is where, like, bags usually rub, or if I'm carrying something, that's where. She goes, that makes sense.
This is the Gallivant Camisole, and I don't think I'd make it as a camisole, but I love the peplum on it. I love that little skirt. Let's see if I can hold this correctly. So, there you go. I think it's so cute. I'd want to put that on something with short sleeves, but...
Or add sleeves to it.
I thought about that, but you really have to work on the shoulder. You have to make a wider shoulder and fill in the neck a little bit. So I'm thinking, and it comes off a waist, so you could
just
put it on anything from a waist. Peregrinate socks.
I like those socks. They look
yes,
very
I was
fun.
just worried over the pronunciation. Again, I think it's cables.
Or their left and right twists.
A folded ribbed cuff transition to meandering columns of fisherman's rib. So it looks like brioche. Worked in the round from the cuff down. So
fisherman's rib is brioche?
It is. It looks like brioche.
Oh, okay.
Yes. I have never done a fisherman's
I have not either.
rib, but I have heard from bakery beers that it is the look is very much like brioche. This is the Nova Turient top.
It's very pretty.
It's very pretty. It is not a style that I wear well in terms of the bateau neck and the square shape.
But I do.
But you do. And I had folded this over because I really do like the patterning in it.
Yeah, the pattern is beautiful.
The pattern is beautiful, so I could see making a V-neck down that.
Which you
could.
could.
Which you absolutely could. One nice thing about knitting and sewing your own clothes is you can make them according to what you want.
Yes.
Sometimes I get in trouble with this because it doesn't quite work out the way I thought, but at least I give it a shot.
Yeah.
Then we have some wall hangings, and this is knitted wall hangings, not macrame. Some of you may remember venturing into the world of macrame when you were younger, and we made things like this, and jar covers, etc. But this is all knitted. And I think the glowing compass lanterns, first of all, would be really pretty to have the candle glowing through the lacy pattern. But I think the patterns themselves are really pretty, and you could take those patterns and make different things out of them.
Well, they're already on circular. They're probably already circular patterns. You could put them on a sock.
Well, exactly.
On a sock leg.
Well, of course, I'm thinking bigger in terms of a sweater.
Well,
or something.
yeah.
This is called the Imperial Gardens sweater, and
it looks like it's lace and cables.
I think it is. So if you can see,
it's phenomenal.
It really is. It's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. So I have it folded over. You know, we all wish there were more hours in the day. Completely. We got the Selkooth hat.
It's a good beanie.
It is a great beanie.
Beret kind of situation.
It is lace and I wouldn't say cables.
I think it's lace.
I think it's lace.
Just shaped. It might be leaning stitches, not cables, you know?
Yeah, I think that's
Left
what
and
it
right
is.
decreases and things.
And then this is the Solvagant top, which I actually like the diagonal of, God bless you, those colors. And again, my only comment is that, excuse me, I'm not one, I want sleeves. I want little cap sleeves. I want kind of short sleeves. I don't like sleeveless. There's a couple reasons for that, because we're out in the sunlight so much in the summer that I don't need to be exposing extra skin on me to the sun. Right. In fact, I'm often wearing longer sleeves, if you see this, so that I can put on less suntan lotion or sun screen and just use the fabric of my clothes to protect me.
Which is also why we tend to buy things. We have an interest in UPF clothing.
Yes, absolutely.
And fabrics.
So I understand that sleeveless is cooler, but my bigger concern is sun damage on my skin because we're out in the sun so much.
Or as I like to say, I'd rather not turn purple today.
Yeah. And what's nice about this boat that we're talking about, it has a hard top rather than a cloth bimini.
Which is nice.
Which is nice. So it gives me solid shade that I can work with. And in fact, the wheel, the helm, is pretty much under
that is nice
cover. So in terms of sun protection, it's much better. Yes, there is reflection from the water, and I will still need my sunscreen. This is the Traipsing Tank and Shorts. I am not likely to make knitted shorts in this lifetime.
I would probably make the butt shorts with a flutter butt shorts from Jessie Made versus these, but that's
why
just
is that?
Because I think they fit better.
Okay.
I think she has just from what I know of her test knitting process and her notes that she puts out about it. I just like the fit of them on her test knitters and in the photographs.
But these have lace at the hem and a nice lacy pattern down the center front.
But I also don't particularly, if I'm gonna, because for me they would end up being sleep shorts, and sleep shorts that are that long for me are just not going to be comfortable because they're gonna bunch and they're gonna
you certainly can make them
weird.
shorter.
So yeah.
This next is called the Bird of Passage top, and from the front view, it looks like some of those knit tops my mother wore in the summertime because they seem very plain. But then you get a side view, and there's some lovely cabling, actually lace, that makes it look like cabling down the underarm seam, and I think that is very pretty. I think I would like to take that pattern and then duplicate it going down like a side front. So you can really see it. The Hodophile, I have no idea what Hodos are and why I like them, but a Hodophile blanket. It says, when knitting this comforting blanket, you may find your mind wandering into faraway places as your hands fall into the therapeutic ribbon of working garter stitch stripes. I don't know what Hodophile is or why the Hoda is, but it is. It's really pretty striped, blue and white. My mother would love it. If my mother liked
pertaining
blankets.
to roads and journeys.
Okay, it's straight passages. So, okay, we like straight.
Lesser known travel term.
We were remarking since we passed through Boston on the way south to Providence, Rhode Island, is that a lot of Boston streets are very curved, and I understood from my youth that was because some of them follow old cow paths, and cows were not known for straightness. Whereas New York is based on a grid. And even though there is traffic in New York, it is relatively easy, or it's, in my mind, it's easier to get through New York than it is Boston. Because Boston, I get turned around. And I went to high school outside of Boston. Couldn't tell you how to get to many places. Because of this kind of wandering effect. I'm going to blame it on that, not my dyslexia. Anyway, that makes sense. So both my husband and I agreed that we thought the grid made it easier for people who really didn't know where they were going to get there. Yes. This is called the Panoramic top, and I did fold this over.
You did.
There's a beautiful design at the bottom. This is knit sideways. So I thought, again, I would move that design up, or I would replicate it here. I would have it here, and I would have it here, rather than just pulling my, people's eyes down toward my hip. Everybody has to know what looks good on their body, and
or what they prefer on their own body.
And if you prefer it, you probably think it looks better.
Probably.
Yes. So for me, it's not drawing attention to a line across my hip, which is like a drop to waist on a dress.
Yeah.
And as much as I love them, they don't make me look good.
Us.
No, it really doesn't. It does not look good. Then there is a discussion on twisted stitches,
which is really interesting from a like engineering of knit fabric perspective.
Absolutely.
It's really very interesting.
And how you can make cabling much bolder, and even slight changes in pattern much more apparent. So I think that is really terrific. And I think that is it.
Yeah, there's a, that was it.
There's an article, I think, right at the back, Knitting New Connections.
Yes, about using TikTok and other social media and, growing your...
social media and your reach.
Well, but also building community through that during this time, since we've all been...
hidden away.
Yes.
Boy, once they said people with vaccinations could go out and do things, we got on the ball.
You were going out and doing all of the things.
As I said, we've been from Florida to Maine.
I know.
I don't think we're going to be going to Florida again before the fall. Because I'm not quite, if we get this boat, I'm not quite sure where we'll end up with it in the fall. We may end up taking it down the coast. Austin,
y'all heard it here first.
Austin said he'd help. He had a cousin who bought a boat on the Hudson, and different family members kept going on the boat and then switching off.
I mean, yeah, I'll happily take a leg.
And Austin didn't
to do one.
No, so he offered to help.
I'll help too, obviously.
Yes.
But
so I think it would be fun to get it down to the Chesapeake and then down to the James River and to my brother's house. I think it would be fun. Anyway, there's no heat on this boat. There's no air conditioning on this boat. It's an all-electric boat. Well, no, it does have propane. Scratch that. It does have propane tanks. It has solar for providing the electricity. It doesn't even have the ability to get dock power.
Oh, my word.
Right. And that's not true of all of the C11000s. That's the way this owner chose to have his boat.
Because he bought it new.
He bought it new, and so he was able to customize it.
Can you retrofit it?
I don't know.
Oh.
And your father says we can't do anything this year. So
okay. That's fine.
We'll wait and see. Do you have anything else to say, my dear?
No. I've got a whole bunch of stuff that's coming in off of orders.
I ordered something, too.
I had thought, well... My plan originally was to show you all a whole bunch of swim leggings and some rash guards that I had made, and then they decided to go to Maine.
Sorry.
So, I didn't get all that sewing done.
You won't be doing that next weekend either.
No, because I'm not here.
I know.
So hopefully I'll be able to get those done before the 4th of July weekend, which will be good. Because I have swimwear fabric that is UPF rated. So I think that will be very useful.
Very nice.
For paddleboarding, kayaking, on the boatness, and
yes.
Dad's just gonna have to get over the idea of wild leggings. That's all.
That's right. That's right.
Because
they're gonna be.
Yeah.
They're gonna be in his lap, and that's all there is to it.
But yeah, I think that's where we're at. It's just yes.
So we won't be recording next weekend.
No.
We should be back the following weekend.
Yes.
And at least late Sunday night, because you would have to go back to work on Monday, and even if we're sailing for the weekend, we'll be back.
Well, next weekend we won't, but yes, the weekend after.
The weekend after. I don't want to say right now what our sailing plans are.
No, because we don't know.
We don't know.
But we will see you then, and Leaving those ends.
That's
and we'll
right.
talk to y'all later.
Bye.
Bye.